So it can be a really bumpy road whilst manifesting your SP, handling the 3D reality and trying to maintain consistency, getting the results and, treatment and behavior from your SP that you want. Today's video, as you can tell from the title, is going to talk about how to handle it when things feel up and down and a bit of a roller coaster with your SP. Maybe you're feeling fed up, frustrated, impatient, and we're going to work through that today. I'm going to give you guys lots of different points and advice throughout the video about how to handle them when things are appearing as hot and cold, you're not getting the full consistency that you want, what is causing this and how to get out of it. Welcome back guys to another video. We're talking about your specific person today and how to deal with them when they're being hot and cold and removing your reactions and emotional connection to any negativity, the old story, 3D reality, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, welcome if you're new here. You do want to click that thumbs up and subscribe button if you watch the video and you do enjoy it for whatever you watch. Because you don't want to miss out on all my future uploads. I upload pretty much every single day, whether it's a short, an exclusive video for members, or one of these long form videos. So about all sorts of different topics and loads of SP content. So if that's what you're looking for support with, my channel has lots of that content. And yeah, on screen as well, right before we hop into this topic, I'll pop on all my different coaching offers, which I feature in all my videos. So you can see my ongoing special offers, discounts. I might potentially in the near future, when I have a spare moment, to actually look into changing around some of those offers. So if you really want to take advantage of what's currently on right now, don't miss out on that, because sometimes I just spontaneously do updates with my coaching packages and websites. So yeah, do take a look at everything in the description box or all the buttons right below the screen. And now let's start the video. Version of your specific person that you are holding on to mentally, emotionally, although the emotions are not what manifests, but if you can't let go of that, you can't change the story around in your own mind, not the 3D, in your own mind, then that's what keeps getting recreated. You're going to see a recreation and perpetuating this cycle of the hot and cold constantly coming in, this push and pull effect where you push them away and then you pull them in and then you push them away. And I'm not saying that you're doing this intentionally or with your actions. It's what happens mentally when you don't stay consistent, or you just maybe haven't picked up on or realized fully yet what is triggering you, where that old story is still playing out, and disengaging from the 3D, not analyzing it, not putting a lot of focus into it, because what is going to be recreated essentially is what you've continuously experienced. Whatever the majority of your thoughts have tied into, whether it's fear, commitment, conforming, good luck, feeling amazing and valued, being ghosted, all these different elements that might be coming up that you might be thinking about and attaching your inner conversations, inner dialogue and identity to, that's what's going to keep getting recreated. So every time you repeat an assumption to yourself, or just okay, not one thought, because it's one specific thought, but if you think it one time, it's very unlikely to manifest. But this becomes a repetitive cycle because you attach your assumptions to what you repetitively think or see in front of you, right? So if your SP behaved a certain way multiple times, unfortunately, that usually becomes the assumption. So if you keep saying they keep pulling away or they're ignoring me, that's what you're reinforcing. So every time you build into those assumptions and those thoughts, that's what builds up. That's what's going to be reflected in their behavior. It's going to be slower and more difficult for them to conform quickly, conform to your positive affirmations and positive focus, because it hasn't yet become your dominant state. So the first step is, of course, awareness. I've been talking about self-awareness a lot lately. It is important, especially when manifesting. So you can pick up on a few, bad habits that everyone may have, but that you can resolve. And you're a step ahead already than everyone else who doesn't use conscious manifestation, because you know what patterns to look out for. You know how to shift around your mental state. So being aware of when you replay or think about the old negative story, 3D reality, circumstances, certain scenes that have played out or things that you think might realistically happen. If it's negative, you want to be aware of that and stop this pattern. Be aware at least of, okay, this is the trigger. This is what I've been thinking. This is where I've been reacting. That's the first step to then be able to resolve it. And then, of course, applying a mental diet to reaffirm the new story, the new result that you're creating. Even if it's just a case of removing a few negatives from your relationship or communication or current status with your specific person, even if it's not knowing them. But I do have videos about manifesting an SP you don't know, like a celebrity. So please look at my channel for that if you're interested in that specific situation. But yeah, you want to make sure that you are reaffirming the new story to yourself, not to anyone else. You don't need to convince your SP, you need to convince your own mind. Also focus on your own emotional response. What are you holding on to? Are you feeling really triggered, anxious, panicked? Maybe disengage a little bit from something that causes you obviously a lot of anxiety, or where you're able to disengage. Maybe limit yourself, protect yourself, put up your own boundaries and standards. That's completely fine, especially if it's things online. You don't need to engage with any of that. So yeah, just being aware of what triggers you, what emotions are you feeling, because that probably means there's still a relatively deep old story ingrained in your mind. If you find that you're still continuously reacting to the 3D, you're constantly in the state of taking maybe something from your past that you haven't been able to let go of, or constantly looking and affirming updates that you see in the physical circumstances, that's kind of coming from survival mode. That's not coming from the end result, or being aware of your inner conversations and just putting in the right effort and repetition with your mindset. You're still in the state of allowing things to just happen. Literally, yeah, like I said, surviving what's going on and just looking outwards instead of focusing internally on what thoughts are you thinking about your relationship status, your SP. Trying to analyze and take on board what's going on physically with your circumstances, it's not going to create the outcome you want. And tapping into your creator mindset, being the, creator of your physical reality, shifting around achieving the life goals and shifting around the circumstances and everything being positive and, literally achieving those manifestation goals. It's coming from the end result. It's coming from thinking as if you already have it. You are the person, you are the version of you who is in the reality where it's true for you already, not from lack, not from fear, not from, it's a lack because of these circumstances, or, a fear of the unknown or rejection, not feeding into that, really putting in the effort, as uncomfortable as it might be initially, to shift that around, disengage. You no longer think that way. You no longer see something and then create an assumption and say, I'm powerless, this is just how it is. We don't think that way anymore. So another great method and another way to approach this, even though it all is focused on your what you do internally, what you think internally, revision and inner conversations. So those can tie in. They're more or less the same, but revision is literally trying to shift around something that has happened, obviously at some point in the past, even if it was like a conversation 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago, you can apply revision. Inner conversations, the way you think to yourself, you apply repetition with any of these methods when you're feeling triggered, when something triggers you, when you see the opposite of what you want or the old story being reflected in the 3D reality, you apply this. You apply your mental diet in one form or another. So with your specific person, they are literally reflecting back to you what you subconsciously believe about love and about them specifically. So like I said, anything to do with dating, relationships, but your actual connection with them, even if you don't really know them yet, maybe you haven't even met them yet, that's fine. That doesn't change anything. It doesn't mean you have to follow a really strict set of rules when manifesting. It's all essentially the same. You can manifest what you want, however you want. You need to apply the consistency and repetition. I'll highlight that more a little bit later in the video, but they are going to mirror back to you your subconscious beliefs, which are often created by conscious experiences, conscious thoughts, consistently repeating that, or just taking in, let's say in this case, what you're trying to change, negative comments, negative conversations, negative experiences that you've personally had. All of these different elements tie in. So what are they all feeding into? Whether you're listening to friends complain or you're complaining to your friends, you're listening to sad music, or you're looking over old text messages, or you're checking up on their social media, all these different things, they will feed into your assumptions and beliefs. And also that's not what the version of you who has it would be doing, right? So if your reaction to those negative things are, as I said, something like, oh, they pull away from me, they always ghost me, or they're always kind of hot and cold, that becomes the truth. That becomes the assumption and what your physical reality reflects. It's not permanent, it's not objective, it's your subjective experience, and you can shift it around because, like I said, your SP will mirror that back to you and reflect those changes. But you need to be aware that it's those repetitive thoughts that eventually build up over time, whether it's months, days, maybe even just a couple of hours of you repeating something you've held on to up till now. You're ingraining that negativity more into your current experience. So the goal is to create new automatic reactions, the thought patterns shifting around in your mind, all of that. You're literally going to change that around with repetition. So doing it over and over and over, even just for 60 seconds, repeating that. It doesn't have to be hours and hours. I'm doing it consistently. So that is persisting. No matter what's showing up, no matter how you feel, you are persisting. You're not giving up on your manifestation. That's what is going to feed into it and shift around the negative, remove the cold, bring in more of the hot. So you want to be aware of that. And that is literally how you're teaching your mind. So you're putting in the work, even if it's just a little bit, building up day by day until you start to feel more confident, more balanced. You know what you're doing. It feels more natural. It's almost coming up automatically without you having to consciously do it. Those are all signs and actually very natural, like a natural form of progression within your manifestation. You're teaching your mind a new way to think. So building into your inner identity, your inner conversations, the way you see yourself and speak to yourself, essentially not literally speaking to yourself, usually it's just thoughts. The version of you who is committed to, who is chosen, that's what you want to tie into and build up. What kind of thoughts would that be? Make that your goal, set an intention, say, maybe have a think about it, but start to say, as my mental diet, I'm going to start thinking, I'm going to remind myself, I'm already the version of me that's committed to, that's chosen. So I'm going to read out from my notes a couple of key phrases that I wrote down. They're essentially affirmations, but just key points to remember and maybe build into with your mental diet and how you want to have that inner identity. This is what it should be shaped by. So things like recognizing and realizing that you deserve consistency. You always get chosen. You are the prize. You are coveted and valued. That's a good one that I haven't used very much. I like the word coveted. You might not want to use that. Maybe you want to, because I know some people maybe don't like that wording, but it's very fun. It's like, oh, you're this beautiful, amazing, coveted, ultimate prize. Like I said, you are the prize. Where to me, it's like someone sees you as like, they have you on the pedestal. They see you as this amazing, a relationship with you would be this amazing accomplishment in their life. That's kind of how I see it. So yeah, that's some inspiration for you guys to take that from. And building on from that, you can use those key phrases and points to practice scripting as if you already feel this way, as if you're already this version. From a day in your near future where you've achieved your goal, you feel amazing, your self-concept's at the ultimate level, and just to give yourself a boost, you're scripting as that version already. So yeah, that was a little extra tip for you guys to incorporate. And I'm going to leave this video here. So if you enjoyed, please do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I will see you next time. Bye.